Hi folks, this is Vicki at patternprincess.com, and today I want to show you how to do the stitches for this really cute headband. And it's a twisted headband, and all I've used is slip stitches. I have my initial chain stitch and then I've used slip stitches. And this is double layer, so it's really nice and thick and warm. It looks like something you'd buy out of a store, to be honest. And then here's the inside where it was joined. But isn't this pretty? This was made out of less than a half a skein of Caron Simply Soft yarn, and I used a size I hook, 5.5 millimeter. This one happens to be from Furls. And all you do is you work on a slip stitch in the back loop all the way around. No need to mark the rows or anything. So I still have some of the yarn left. I started with a half a skein, and this is what I have left of the Caron Simply Soft. You can use any medium weight yarn. Actually, you can use any yarn. Just crochet by size, if nothing else. This here, my initial chain was 40. I made sure it was about 10 inches long, so that you fold it in half and you join into a circle with a slip stitch. And so this is about 4 inches wide, so that's a nice size to go over your head. And then this ended up being a circle of about 9 inches this way, but it's actually 18 inches around. And you're going to say, yep, but a lady's head is 22 inches. This stretches. The whole thing stretches, and it actually will stretch up to about 22 inches. So if you don't have a real stretchy yarn, I would say make it maybe 19 inches. This happens to be a nice stretchy yarn, and I've had this on my head, and it keeps it shaped nicely. But it does stretch up to 21, 22 inches. So unless you want it real loose, I would say do about 18 inches, 19 inches. Try it around your head, see how it works. And then you also have to remember there's a little bit of space that is taken up with joining it together. So this one here I made 18 inches long without being stretched. So any kind of yarn, just go by the measurement. And I really, to be honest, I have no idea how many rows I did. I just made it to size. I just kept taking measurements along the way. So I have my slip stitch on. Now, like I said, my initial chain on this was like 40. I'm just going to do, I don't know, 15 or 20 here today of chains. It could be any number of chains. You just, as long as and wide as you want it. 5. Now I've done 5. Now here's a trick. Because we're going to, when you have a longer chain and you try to join it, it'll oftentimes twist, your yarn will twist. Well, I don't like to deal with that, okay? So what I do is I flip this. So it's still straight. I'm gonna take my hook and stick it in this tail in my first chain, maybe. Here we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna put it through the chain that I was on. Now I'm just going to keep chaining. I was on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And now you're going to say, well, how do I know how long it's going to be? Well, another way you can do it is when you lay this down this way, you can measure how many inches do you have. So here you have about 2.5 inches. So I know with 20, it's not going to be enough. When I had 10 and I folded it over initially like this, it came to about 4.5, 5 inches. But after you really get all the stitches, because you have that thickness, it has this curve to go around on the end. It has this curve. So that's going to take up actually a little bit of the yarn. So again, I did mine so that it was 10 inches wide, long, and it folded in half, it was like 5. But you could certainly use 9 inches. It'd be a little bit more narrow. It'd be about 4.5, it'd be 3.5 to 3 inches in width if you did it to 9. It would probably end up being about here where my fingers are placed. So just depends on what your preference is. So I've done 20 here. So now the next step is to just bring it through your first chain, okay, to make a circle. Now your circle is made. And now we just start. So I'm not going to go in that first stitch. I'm going to go in the next stitch. Yarn over, bring your yarn through, and come through the loop. You're going to go around every single chain stitch and just go through that loop and continue to slip stitch all the way around. So this is very beginner friendly. As long as you have a tape measure, take some measurements, and I'll have a chart on suggested sizes, just a couple different sizes to help you kind of get started with choosing how long and how wide you might want to make things. Just remember that it will be stretchy, and because you don't want to make it too long and too big. Again, if it's for yourself, try it on your head a little bit first. Hold it there before you seam it together, okay, to make sure it's big enough and to make sure also it's not too big. So I'm just doing slip stitches all the way around. So this is a nice pattern to do if you're, just sitting enjoying time with family. It is hard to watch a movie. I'm just going to tell you. I did a lot more listening because your eyeballs have to be on this. You have to be watching. Okay. Now let me see here. I just got done with this one. I got this one to go yet. And I just grabbed a yarn from the bottom thing. There we go. Oh, I did it again. Hold on. There we go. Now, this is where we were first joining it. So now what we're going to do, so here's our stitches. So here's, hopefully you can see this. We have 2 stitches on top, two parts of the loop here. There's a back loop back here too, but we're not going to work on that. We're going to work on the back loop right here. So we're going to do a back loop slip stitch all the way around. So right here, here's that front loop. I'm going to grab that back loop, and you're just going to work the back loop. Just keep on poking it into the back loop. And it actually is a little bit hard if you have tight stitches. Don't have tight stitches. Keep it loose. And so oftentimes, I actually took some video of the other one when I was making it. As I'm going along, I'm actually trying to shove it up higher on the shank to help make the loop a little bit bigger as I bring this through, and I'm keeping the yarn really loose on my left hand here, feeding. If this is a left hand video, it's going to be the right hand feeding the yarn. But anyways, the hand that is feeding the yarn, keep that loose. Keep the yarn loose coming through, and just keep working in the back loop stitches. And this is your pattern all the way until you get to the length that you want. Then you go ahead and you pull your yarn through, and you join the 2 ends together to make the twist. And you also want good lighting. And so we're not quite to the other side yet. Oh, that one's going to be a little bit tight. We don't want that. Now here's a tight one. But the one before it was loose, so it was forgiving. Thank goodness. Or I'd be sitting here struggling with you. Okay. And so we're almost back to where we started because I have my yarn tail there. And so now here we're going to have a tight one right here. See, here's a tight one. Come on. Can we shove this in? Oh. Let me pull this a little bit. There we go. All right, and now we're back to the first one that we did. So again, we'll just continue to work in that back loop all the way around. And so we're not doing any kind of chain one like you normally would when you start your next thing. And we're not working in that back bump. We're just working in the back loop. And what happens as you're working on this and as it gets longer, your work actually starts to turn that way. So it becomes like this top loop right here. Let me get my needle to show you. So you're working, just to make sure you can see this. So this is the very back bump. We're not working there. This is the front loop, and this is the back loop. And because I've been working in the back loop, the whole thing is kind of starting to turn, but it becomes a tube. And it becomes turned because you're working on that side. So just keep working in each back loop. Every single back loop. Here's the front loop right here. Just keep working in the back loop and keep it loose. And just keep going around in a spiral. Okay, just keep going around and around and around. And crochet until you have your length. But this is how you do this stitch. You just do a slip stitch and keep going into the back loop. And that's all that there is to it. This is very beginner friendly. I don't think I finished my thought before. You do have to look at your stitches and look at your stitch placement. That's what makes it hard to watch a movie, because you do have to watch this. But I kind of had some stuff on that I could kind of listen to a little bit too and look up once in a while. But there we go. This is the pattern, and this is how it's starting out. This is where it looks so far, and then later on, we'll lay it flat, and then you'll do your joining. And it'll look like this. This is the end result. Okay, I've just finished crocheting my long tube. I get it all on camera at once here for you. And this is about 18 inches long. About 18 inches right here. See that? Pretty darn close to 18. And this will stretch. See how stretchy this is? So it'll stretch up to about 21, 22 inches long. If you have a yarn that does not stretch a lot, you might want to make this 19 inches long. This here is about 4 inches across. And it's, of course, it's crocheted in that tube. And I don't know what side I like best. This is on one side, how it looks. This is just the outside as I've been doing my slip stitches around. And I tried to show a photo, and I don't know if that's going to come up well, but this is the inside. The inside's really pretty too. So I think either way you'd want to have this headband, it would work really pretty. So I want to show you how to lay this out and how to join this. So you're just going to fold this in half. Okay, I'm going to go this way. And each side is going to be folded in half like this. So you'd have it like no twisting yet. There's no twisting, even though it's going to look like it's twisted in the end. See that? It's just two ends come together. And you're just going to slip one end inside of the other. But just make sure that they're even on the ends and wrapped around each other snugly. Like this. Okay? And then we're just going to do a whip stitch and sew everything together on the end here. And then we'll turn it out, inside out. So I'm going to thread my yarn, which I have not done here yet. I sewed in my other end of my yarn. And see how this is kind of flared out? This is my starting row. Don't worry about that. Nobody's going to see it because we're going to be using it to sew. And then this is also my ending row. See, that's a little bit flared out? But nobody's going to see that either. So let me thread my yarn, and then I'm going to show you how I sew it together. Okay, I have my yarn right here. This is where I ended. I just cut off, I don't know, about a 20-inch tail, yarn tail, and I pulled it through the last loop. And I'm actually, just on this first one here, I'm going to go through this way. And you're just going to go through all of the layers, and you can either, I guess you can do it either way. You can continue to go this way, or you can come across and then just do like the whip stitch coming back either way it's going to work. And I'm probably, to be honest, going to go through this twice. I'm going to go this way once, and then I'm going to come back the other way, probably over the ends. And you're just making sure that you go through the loops, and you don't have to make sure that you go one stitch for every loop, just maybe every other loop go through. And this is very easy to do. This took me, gosh, we started this actually when I was on vacation. I just started this when I was on vacation up in Michigan with the family, and I really didn't get a whole lot of chance to work on it. Poolside I did. I actually was poolside watching everybody swim. My little almost 2-year-old grandson and daughter and her husband. And then I watched a couple movies. So, I mean, I'm going to say, and I did it a few times when he was napping, I'm going to say about 6-7 hours. It took me to do this. It was a little bit tedious because it's all slip stitches. I'm not going to lie. It kind of makes me a little crazy because it doesn't go fast, but it's super easy. And I just love the results. Oopsies. How about that? I just pulled my yarn through the hook. So this is sewn together. I could actually stop at that point. I was going to go across like I had mentioned in the beginning, but now that I'm sewing this, I don't think I'm going to. I think what I'm going to do is continue to do the stitches just as I have, and I'm going to have to, I can't get my yarn threads here. Sorry about this, but we will get this fixed. And what's nice is this will fit nice and snug. It's really going to be nice and warm because of the double thickness. All right, so I'm right here on the end, and now I'm going to go back through the stitches. And then I'll just go weave my yarn through just like I normally would a little bit to make sure that my yarn doesn't come out. But this is working nicely. And then I'm going to show you when I turn it inside out how it's going to look. And it's just really cute. What's nice is this slip stitch makes it almost look like knitted. It really makes it look like you knit this. Something like it would be bought at a store. And it's really soft and snugly warm. And this is just Caron Simply Soft that I used. I had some leftover skein of yarn and I used that. Okay, so this is together. Now I'm just going to weave back and forth this way a couple times just to make sure that we're secure here. And if you wanted to, you could knot it too. If you felt better to knot it, absolutely go ahead and knot it. Just to be double sure it's not coming out. Okay, I think we're safe. Now, I'm going to pull this, and I'm going to snip this. And what's neat, when you turn this inside out, see this is how it looks now. When you turn this inside out, this is when the magic happens. Check that out. It looks twisted. This is how it looks in the back, and this is how it looks in the front. And it actually, there's a little bit of bump against your head when you lay it on the front or on the side, however you want to wear it, but this is all done. This is all done with slip stitches and leftover yarn. I had about a half a skein that I started with of Caron Simply Soft, and this is what I have left. I wouldn't say I'd have enough to make another one. Thanks for watching, and take care and enjoy your crochet time.